Hello students, today I will continue our discussion in qualitative analysis of organic compounds. I had already explained the detection of carbon and hydrogen and detection of nitrogen, sulfur and halogens using Lessani's method. Now we will discuss the detection of phosphorus. How phosphorus is detected? When organic compound is oxidized with some strong oxidizing agent like sodium peroxide, then phosphorus which is present in organic compound in its covalent form is changed to phosphate ions. And these phosphate ions, presence of this phosphate ion can be detected by using ammonium molybdate solution. We take little amount of organic compound. This is organic compound. When this is heated with Na2O2, sodium peroxide. So as a result of this heating, phosphorus that was present in this organic compound is oxidized to phosphate ions. Then it is boiled with HNO3, dilute nitric acid and ammonium molybdate is added. Formation of a yellow precipitate confirms presence of phosphorus present. So as we had seen that for most of the compounds, the element which is present in organic compound is first converted to a suitable compound and finally the presence of that compound is detected, which in turn confirms the presence of that very element. Say for example, for the detection of carbon and hydrogen, we had converted carbon to carbon dioxide and hydrogen to water vapors. Then presence of carbon dioxide is detected by passing it through lime water, wherein lime water turns milky, and presence of water vapors is detected by passing it over anhydrous copper sulfate, wherein copper sulfate turns blue, showing the presence of hydrogen. Similarly, in Lessani's test, what we did? We converted nitrogen, sulfur or halogens to their respective ionic forms. In organic compound, nature of bonding is covalent. Their elements are joined with each other by sharing of electrons. But during the process of formation of Lessani's extract, these covalently bonded compounds are converted to their ionic form. Nitrogen is converted to cyanide ions, sulfur is converted to sulfide ion, and halogens are converted to halide ions. And during the test, we actually tested the presence of this cyanide ion or sulfide ion or halide ion. In the similar way here also, in the detection of phosphorus, phosphorus that was present in organic compound in a covalent form was converted to phosphate ions, and then uh, presence of phosphate ions is detected with the help of ammonium molybdate. This ammonium molybdate which is added here, this combines with phosphate ion to form ammonium phosphomolybdate, which is a yellow colored compound, and this yellow precipitate confirms the presence of phosphate. So this is all about qualitative analysis. So this is all about qualitative analysis, means how we can detect the presence of different elements in given organic compound. Now we switch to quantitative analysis, how the percentage of different compounds is detected in given organic compound. So first we will see the detection of carbon and hydrogen, how the amount of carbon and hydrogen present in an organic compound is determined. And to understand this process, first I tell you the experimentation part, and secondly I will tell you calculations involved. So let us learn. Estimation of carbon and hydrogen. Now for the estimation of carbon and hydrogen, a tube is taken which is closed at one end, and from the other end oxygen is passed, and here in this known amount of organic compound is taken. So here we keep organic compound, and here we have a burner with the help of which we can heat. Then here copper oxide pellets are placed, CuO. Then vapors that are passed from here, they are allowed to pass through two U-tubes. This is actually not U-tube, rather they are U-shaped tube. And one tube has anhydrous CaCl2 and other tube has aqueous KOH solution. So this is the rough arrangement of experimentation that is done for the estimation of carbon and hydrogen. Now what is done there? This organic compound, a known weight of organic compound, is heated strongly in the presence of CuO. The same was done for qualitative analysis also. And what was the outcome? When organic compound is heated strongly with this CuO, carbon present in organic compound is converted to CO2 and hydrogen present in the organic compound is converted to water vapors. And this compound anhydrous CaCl2 has got ability to absorb water vapors, while KOH has got ability to absorb carbon dioxide. So once this organic compound is heated strongly, all the carbon which is present in this organic compound is quantitatively converted to carbon dioxide and absorbed here in aqueous KOH solution. And all the hydrogen which is present in this organic compound is converted to water vapors and absorbed here at anhydrous CaCl2. Now, from the weight of carbon dioxide formed, from the weight of water vapors that are formed, we can calculate the percentage of carbon or hydrogen which is present in the compound. Sure? Are you able to understand it? In this instrumentation, weight of calcium chloride is taken first and weight of aqueous KOH is also taken. This instrument is pre-weighed. Now this known weight of organic compound is heated strongly so that all the carbon which is present in this organic compound is converted to carbon dioxide and absorbed here, and all the hydrogen which is present here is converted to water vapors and absorbed in CaCl2. Then weight of these two instruments is taken again. So this time weight will be more, and once this final weighing is subtracted, initial weight is subtracted, so the weight of water vapors form or weight of calcium chloride form is obtained. Say for example, initially it was 10 grams. Then after the completion of experiment, when it was weighed, it was 10.30 gram. So once 10.30 minus 10 grams will give you 0.30 gram, which is the increase in weight of aqueous potassium hydroxide is the weight of actually carbon dioxide which is formed. In the similar way, increase in the weight of this tube will be the weight of water vapors that are formed. So this is the experimentation. In a simplified way, how you can understand that a known weight of organic compound is heated strongly in the presence of CuO, copper oxide, so that all the carbon which is present in the organic compound is converted to carbon dioxide, and weight of carbon dioxide is determined by absorbing it over potassium hydroxide solution. At the same time, all the hydrogen which is present in organic compound is converted to water vapors, and weight of water vapors formed is determined by absorbing it over anhydrous CaCl2 solution. Now, how percentage of carbon and percentage of hydrogen is determined from this data? Let us come to its calculation part. So let me erase it. I am quite sure you will be able to understand the instrumentation. First, let the weight of organic compound taken is W gram, and weight of CO2 formed is X gram. Now to calculate the percentage, we first apply mole concept. According to mole concept, CO2 12 plus 16 into 2, that is 44 U. So 1 gram molecule of CO2 will weigh 44 gram. Now we apply a simple unitary method. 44 grams of CO2 has how much carbon? 12 gram. So 1 gram CO2 will have 12 upon 44 grams of carbon. So x gram of CO2 will have 12 into x upon 44 grams of carbon. Is it clear? Here when we had calculated the molar mass of carbon dioxide, so the atomic mass of carbon is 12. 12 plus 32 gives you 44. So the molar mass of carbon dioxide is 44 grams, 44 U. And mass of 1 mole of carbon dioxide is 44 gram, out of which 12 grams of carbon is present. So that what is the same reason applied here, that 44 grams of carbon dioxide means 1 mole of carbon dioxide will have 12 grams of carbon. So 1 gram of carbon dioxide will have 12 by 44 gram of carbon, and finally x gram of CO2 will contain 12 into x upon 44 grams of carbon. So this is the amount of carbon which is present in the x gram of carbon dioxide which is formed as a result of experiment. But in fact, this is the amount of carbon which is present in W grams of organic compound, because all the carbon that was present in W gram of organic compound is converted to CO2. So actually W grams of organic compound has 12 into x upon 44 grams of carbon. So 1 gram of organic compound will have 12 into x upon 44 into W gram of carbon. So 100 grams of organic compound will have 12 into x into 100 divided by 44 into W grams of carbon. And whatsoever amount of carbon which is present in 100 gram of organic compound will give the percentage of carbon. So percent of carbon is given by 12 into weight of CO2 into 100 divided by 44 into weight of organic compound taken. So that is how we can calculate the percentage of carbon which is present in any given organic compound. Now, by following similar procedure, we can calculate the percentage of hydrogen also. let the weight of organic compound is W gram and weight of water vapors formed is X gram. Now once we apply mole concept, then H2O is 1 into 2 plus 16, that is 18U. Molar mass of water is 18U and its gram molecular mass is 18 gram. Means 1 mole of water will weigh 18 gram, and out of this 18 gram 2 gram of hydrogen is present. So 18 grams of water contains 2 gram of hydrogen. So 1 gram of water will contain 2 by 18 grams of hydrogen. So X gram of water will contain 2 into X upon 18 grams of hydrogen. So X was the weight of hydrogen which is formed at the end of experiment, and this X gram of water which is formed contains 2 into X upon 18 grams of hydrogen, and this X gram of water is obtained from the W gram of organic compound. So actually this is the amount of hydrogen which is present in W grams of organic compound. So W grams of organic compound contains 2 into X upon 18 gram of hydrogen. So how much hydrogen is present in 1 gram of organic compound? 1 gram of organic compound will have 2 into X upon 18 into W gram of hydrogen. Hence 100 gram of organic compound will have 2 into X into 100 upon 18 into W gram of hydrogen, and the amount of hydrogen which is present in this 100 grams of organic compound will be actually the percentage of hydrogen in given organic compound. So percentage of hydrogen is given as 2 into weight of water form into 100 divided by 18 into weight of organic compound. So that is how the percentage of carbon and hydrogen in any given organic compound can be calculated. So before moving to the estimation of nitrogen, let us revise the things which I told you today. First I told you detection of phosphorus in given organic compound. To detect the presence of phosphorus in given organic compound is first oxidized using sodium peroxide, and then this mixture is heated with dilute HNO3, and as a result of this process, phosphorus that was covalently bonded in the compound is oxidized to phosphate ions, and when a little amount of ammonium molybdenate is added to this test tube, a yellow colored precipitate of ammonium phosphomolybdenate is formed, and that confirms the presence of phosphorus in given organic compound. Then I told you quantitative estimation of carbon and hydrogen. Both of these are determined by single process rather, which is called Liebig method. Leibig. Liebig method is used for the quantitative estimation of carbon and hydrogen. In this method, a known weight of organic compound is heated strongly with copper oxide, so that all the carbon which is present in that organic compound is quantitatively converted to carbon dioxide, and weight of carbon dioxide is determined by absorbing this carbon dioxide over aqueous potassium hydroxide solution. And during the same process, during heating of given organic compound with copper oxide, all hydrogen which is present there is quantitatively converted to water vapors, and weight of water vapors that are formed is determined by absorbing it over anhydrous calcium chloride solution. And from the weight of this carbon dioxide and weight of water which is formed, percentage of carbon and hydrogen is determined. Percentage of carbon is given by 12 into weight of carbon dioxide formed into 100 upon 44 into weight of organic compound taken. Weight of organic compound taken. In the similar way, percentage of hydrogen is determined by 12 by the formula 2 into weight of water formed into 100 divided by 18 into weight of organic compound taken. So this is the summary of the topic that I covered today. I am quite sure that you are able to understand it, and even if you are not able to understand it, please don't hesitate to ask for it. You can write your views in the classroom comments so that I can take up anything that you are not able to understand again and to clarify your doubts. By the time, I request all of you to stay home, stay safe, stay healthy. Thank you.